Hello there. I'm going to try this again. Now, you might be thinking, "Ooh, I can hear myself. I can hear myself." So I did this stream. Well, at least the first 20 minutes of it. Just a few minutes ago. I did about 20 minutes ago. And I was actually going to do it at 10:30 this morning, 6 hours ago. But I came to my machine, I pressed go, and my camera wouldn't work. And then my light wouldn't work either. It's like, and I tried fixing it, finally got it all working, but then the builders were coming within another 20 minutes to install we have a new door being put in to our master bedroom so that we can block off the master bedroom from the rest of the house. And the metal frame for it went in a couple months ago, but the plastic sheet, it's a pretty thick piece of plastic that lets. It's really nice because it lets light through, but not. You can't see through it. It's just the light that comes through, and it's very sound absorbent. Doesn't let much sound through either. Um, kind of it's you the builder has to order it and then wait like 3 weeks, 4 weeks for it to show up. So it all showed up today, and they installed it. It took them a few hours, and but it's all there now. And then I finally got a chance to try to get everything working again. My problem with the camera was ended up being the USB cord was unplugged. I mean, I went through all the other pieces, and I finally went to the machine and like, oh, this cable, there's my camera. And then I don't know what went wrong with my light, but all that's solved now. So let's take a look at some of the news. Now that I've had some practice at it. So here's the first thing. I saw this morning. A new model from Coder 1.5 billion and 9 billion parameter models. They're coding models available as a base and a chat model with 128K context window, which is great. That means you can load up more and more of the context of your application into the model, assuming you have the memory for it. It says it outperforms CodeQuen, Code Geeks, and DeepSeek Coder, which is great. It does some things on benchmarks, but you know how I feel about benchmarks. And strong performance on cross-file completion for repository level completion on Python and Java. I'm not really sure what that means, but sounds pretty good. And there is a blog post about it, a little bit more about it. So that's pretty cool. And then I noticed that on Olama, the first time I did this, I went to the models and looked at newest, and I see that eCoder is there. It's available as a 9 billion and a 1.5 billion parameter model, which is pretty amazing. I mean, that is, so the 1.5, I guess that's a Q4. So 1.4, I mean, to get it down to, it's 866 megs. It's just magic. Comment from Grant Powell. I have to say I'm brand new to finding you and your channel today, and I'm beyond thankful and impressed. We need to go full screen for that. Oh my God, that's awesome. Beyond thankful and impressed with your cadence, teaching, and explanations. I finally grasped some core misunderstandings. Great, thank you. I'm so excited that you're here. And that you can help direct the conversation as well. And I do a lot of I cover news, what's new today, but it's also neat at at different points throughout the conversation to answer your questions about, sometimes it's about Olama or about tangential things, or sometimes it's about things that are completely unrelated. So it's always fun. Glad to have you. And yeah, let's see what else we got here. So yeah, I'm looking at Yi Coder, and yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I haven't played around with it. I actually have not played around with pretty much anything on my list today, because I did this like mad dash at, I was going to go on at 10:30, this mad dash at 10, realizing, oh my god, I scheduled it, but I didn't actually look at any news. Let me look around, search, find stuff to talk about, and then it didn't happen, and other stuff happened, and all that stuff. So I haven't done any. I mean, I've read some of the articles, but yeah, that's about it. The other thing that's I'm not sharing. The other thing that's interesting here, and something I saw, was Paradigm. Paradigm.ai. What's the URL? ParadigmAI.com. Another agent tool. Looks like it's doing. I'm not sure if this is their spreadsheet, but I'm not sure what the main I think this main UI is this spreadsheet, because this is their URL, and you are populating lots of stuff. It looks interesting. I just signed up for the wait list, so it's kind of hard to see what is it that they actually do. They're backed by YC, so it could be interesting. Synthetic dataset generator. Yeah, except I thought I saw it listed as something else. Okay, if it's just dataset, okay. That's what your tool does. But yours is better, right? Yeah, so interesting. I'm sure they've raised some money. Speaking of raising money, here is in the ridiculous news today. OpenAI co-founder Scaver and Daniel Levy and Daniel Gross started a company 3 months ago. Haven't done anything. I don't think they've actually done anything, but they've built a company, and some smart people. I assume it's smart people. Andreessen Horowitz is filled with smart people, and so is Sequoia Capital. I don't know about these other two, or three, but they're smart people. Well, they probably saw that. I don't know. I feel like I don't feel like anything good can come out of this. It's this. They've kind of shot themselves in the foot. They're not going to be able to raise ever again, because this is just a $5 billion valuation. To raise any more, you're going to either dig into that $5 billion valuation, or is it going to go up? It's a pretty hard thing to say it's going to be worth. I don't know. It's so fantastical, unbelievable. I can't see how this is going to be any good. Who knows what they're going to do? But the idea that scaling. Okay, so they're scaling. There's already been a few companies that were, people that work together at Google or at other companies that have created these AI startups, raised a whole bunch of money, and they've already folded because they realize they don't like each other and they can't get along. And maybe these three will get along, but before there's even a product, it just seems insane. It's absolute insanity. I don't know. I don't know. So I think that's just a ridiculous story. Then another model that's interesting, a mixture of experts. OLMOE. OL, I don't know what OL stands for, but a 1 billion active, 7 billion total parameters for 5 trillion tokens. looks like it could be interesting. It's not on Olama yet. I don't know if it's what what do we have about it? Open mixture of expert language models. Um, yeah, so be interesting to check out. Anyway, I'm sharing it with you because maybe you'll check it out and tell me what's special about it. Melty. We have a lot of code editors out there, AI code out editors out there. A lot of people have gotten excited about Cursor recently. From what I've seen, most of the, a lot of the people who are excited about it are excited about, initially creating a first draft of an app. And then some reviewers are like, okay, the first draft is awesome, but then you're kind of stuck. But and then they point out to, if you want to go further, maybe Aider is a better option, though my experience with Aider has not been that great either. And I'm not, it seems like sometimes the goal that people want to have is describe a whole product and it's just done for you. And even some AWS execs saying, "Oh, it's the end of developers," or "Oh, come on." I think developers have a safe job for a while because these tools are definitely tools to help, but not to solve the problem for us. Random, but wanted to say thanks for doing a lot of demos in TypeScript. It's really nice. I'm mixed on Bun, as I'm already doing too many things, but TypeScript is supported directly by Node, sort of, in Nightly. Yeah, so I was a big fan of, so I was doing, just TypeScript generally, TSC and to compile, but then I discovered Dino. I was really gung ho for Dino, and then Bun came along, and it was supposedly faster based on benchmarks that they produce, and I got into Bun, but I really missed how well compiling worked in Dino. So I could, I would always have like GitHub Actions that would, from when you post to the JavaScript to the GitHub repo, it would build executables for Windows, Mac, Intel, Mac, Apple Silicon, and Linux automatically. And you could just download those executables. You didn't need to have anything about Dino or Node or anything installed. It just worked on your machine as is. And it's like magic. Bun didn't have that for a long time. Now it sort of has it, but every time I download the executable to a new machine, it's like something else doesn't work. And so I feel like Dino is just so much more mature when it comes to that feature, and which is so useful to have. And Bun is not there yet. And then it looks like actually the benchmarks are kind of cherry picked. You have to, if you build it just the right way, then Bun is like way faster. But normally, actually Dino's actually a lot faster in a lot of cases. I saw or did I see it or did I just listen to it? One of the podcasts I listen to is Syntax, I think Syntax FM, by Wes Boss and Scott Tolinsky. And they had the guy who created Node. God, what's his name? Anyway, the guy who originally created Node and then went on to create Dino. And talking about, he spent a lot of time on the benchmarks. It's like, we are just so much faster than Bun, is what he was saying. Now, of course, both groups are saying their tool is faster than the other one, but I really like how Dino works. And there used to be problems with Dino when it comes to NPM modules. And so you always had to like host them somewhere. But now, I mean, apparently there are still some NPM modules that don't work well with Dino, but I haven't found them. They haven't really affected me, and Dino is amazing. So for Olama, I just do npm Olama, in my import, and it just works, even though it's Dino, and I don't have to have a packaged JSON file. I don't have to have any of these things. Although apparently that's coming back to Dino 2.0 soon. I haven't finished listening to that syntax episode. From Borch, Aider and Agent Zero are cool, but they're so new, it's not ready. You need to build your own RAG for your niche. Yeah. But one thing that was really neat about the two folks that are behind this Melty was, I think it was this guy, did a video about a year ago when the first Lava models came out. So he was working at Replicate, and I think they host models. I think that's what they do. And he had a camera taking a picture of him every like 10 seconds. And then he would hand off the description of the image that the Lava model would generate, and hand that off to 11 Labs, where he had trained a voice in the voice of Attenborough. Was it Richard Attenborough or David Attenborough? Anyway, the one who does the nature documentaries, and it narrated. Was a show about him. Just a few seconds, like 50 seconds or so, a minute long. Of here we have a white male drinking, in the typical mating ritual of drinking coffee or something like that. It was very funny and amazing. I tried to replicate it using just Olama. He was using some other model that does the image to text, but I couldn't get it working. But that was a year ago, and I haven't tried it really since. But super cool. That was a super cool example. Apparently he's done other stuff. I don't know much. But this looks like another neat tool to take a look at. Another one, my C3PO speech-to-speech tool has Lava Vision. I use XTTS Kokui for C3PO fine-tune. Cool. I saw this. Memory layer for your AI apps, which looks interesting. The memory layer for personalized AI. So maybe being able to, so Mem0, being able to have longer term memory within your chats. And it could be interesting. I'd be very interested in playing around with it. The problem with doing these things, like, there's all these things I want to play with, and no time to play with any of them. But it looks like it could be fun. They've gained a lot of stars in the last in one just a couple of days. They went from 7K to 20K. That's pretty amazing. Wonder who discovered them, because they've been around for a little while. July of basically the same age as Olama. Unrelated, but same age. Interesting. What else we got? Another venture capital raising or raised some money. Sakana AI. $100 million to challenge OpenAI or Anthropic as a world-class AI lab. So this is a Japanese group. Yeah, Japanese startup founded by former Google researchers David Ha and Leon Jones and Ren Ito of Diplomat. 100 million in Series A. So working on, what's that? It's working on product market fit. Is that the yeah, so I haven't. So apparently they showed up last year. Novel nature-inspired collective intelligence approach to developing high-performing foundation models. The idea was to bring the best of multiple small AI models together, much like a swarm, to deliver complex results. Cool. And Jensen Huang is that guy from NVIDIA will be providing, providing support. Interesting. What else we got? Australia looking at a AI bill because that's what all the cool kids are doing. So yeah, basically putting guardrails, making sure the machines don't take over. What else we got? More money raising. I don't know about root signals for AI reliability monitoring platform. All my notes are gone. I had notes in these. Did my... Yeah, it should have all my notes in it. Oh well. What was this one? So AI reliability monitoring. Oh yeah, they were providing tools to help developers find LLMs with high output quality. And then also there was something about just ensuring that it stay. Oh yeah, use 50 or more so-called evaluators to make sure the model retains its reliability in production. Cool. What else? Anthropic launches Claude Enterprise. So I've definitely heard from a lot of people that they are already stopping their ChatGPT subscription and swapping over to Claude because it's just so much better. I mean, I feel like all of these AI subscriptions basically are the same as how I think of my streaming, my TV streaming subscriptions. We had for a long time, for a while during the while what was it, Outlander was playing, we had Stars. As soon as Outlander stopped, we canceled Stars. We had AMC for a little while because of Discovery of Witches, and there was some other show, and as soon as those were done, we turned that off. We have Disney, but I think we're gonna have Disney until Stella is at least 10 years old. So we've got that for a long time. HBO we had for Game of Thrones, even though I hate Game of Thrones, but my wife loves it. As soon as Game of Thrones ended, we canceled. What else do we have? Now we just have Apple TV, and we had Peacock just for the Olympics, and we canceled that. We have Apple TV, which I don't see getting rid of because they always come up with good things. And what else do we have? Oh, Prime, because free shipping. It allows for up to like 15 files. Sounds like Guardrails AI a bit. But anyway, Anthropic is doing a subscription plan for Claude, catered towards enterprise customers that want more administrative control and increased security. Yeah, I don't know what their solution is. I mean, with ChatGPT, if you want to ensure that nothing ever gets shared outside, you can host it on your own instance on Azure, but I don't know what Anthropic does. Is it just about signing some paperwork and then they promise that they're never going to share data? I don't know how that works. We've seen in the past how some of these companies, these promises don't quite work out and sensitive data shows up in places it shouldn't. But cool. HBO Max is cool. Yes. Right now we're not subscribed to any of those things. We don't even subscribe to Netflix until there's some amazing, I'm sure we'll subscribe to Netflix at some point, binge on all the top shows that we care about, and then cancel that as well. But we don't watch a lot of TV. I would say our daughter. There's a lot of what is it? Bluey and Elena of Avalor, and there's a few other shows that we watch way too much. And I'll be very happy when she moves on to another. I'm sure there's going to be another silly show. But anyway, let's see. This is completely unrelated to AI, but I just found out about this, something that's starting tomorrow. The National Security Agency of the US is starting a podcast, which is bizarre. I mean, they're an agency that is known to not acknowledge the existence of a lot of their employees, but they're going to have something that talks about signals intelligence and cybersecurity, and it could be great, or it could be nothing. But I'm definitely going to listen for this one. I think said it starts tomorrow. I saw a different article about it saying it starts on Thursday. So could be interesting to watch. Or sorry, is it a watch thing, or I don't think it's a, I don't know, is it going to be just, is it a video? Oh. It doesn't really say much. But anyway, there we go. I think that's all I had. Yep. All right, so what'd you think? A little dark. Did I get dark? I did fiddle around a lot with everything, and so I could have screwed up all the lighting. But what did I actually order? Just finished something I started doing earlier today. Check out tomorrow. Okay. All right. Anybody else got any comments? Or maybe we'll just end it. I'm sure we got some comments. Where's Grant Powell? Any questions? In case you're still here. Did I fix my... Did this start working? No, it didn't. Okay. Think if you could make like a Ollama chatbot demo to showcase the things you talk about, that would be cool. I know Hugging Face is the Wild West. Yes. I have started. I think that's kind of the example I keep starting to show, and I show like the starts of in videos, and I never actually use it. It would be great. I think it would be great for me to be able to ask a question, and even if it's like I almost feel like I should be, some speech to text, which is constantly capturing what I say, and every time I pause, it hands that off to the search, and like related posts show up on my screen as I'm talking about it. I think and it just keeps adding to it as I say more and more things. I think that could be super useful, but it's like all the things I found today that I thought, oh, that'll be fun to play with. I never actually play with these things. Oh, cool. Probably 3 weeks away from what you're describing. Nice. Now, why do we not have anything there? Text box color. Background border. Am I able to? Oh. Curious if there's a limit regarding RAG doc limits. I'm going to put 20 megs of text files in, but I don't know how much context can be held. Is it about how many files, entries versus length of data? So there's two pieces there. Oh, there's probably lots of pieces, but two of the pieces that come to mind are, first off, there's the size of the database, and that's just whatever the limits of the database are. ChromaDB uses SQLite, and SQLite has this theoretical limit, but it's actually a lot lower. But it's in the multiple gigabytes size before it gets kind of unwieldy. But then there's other vector databases that are based on other technologies that can scale across more than one machine, and so the size of your RAG database is pretty much infinite. But then there's how big is any one document? Well, you're not going to stick the whole document in the database as is. You're going to split it up into smaller pieces, into chunks. And how big are those chunks? Well, that's kind of, I've got a video about playing around with chunk sizes and chunk overlaps, so that you overlap a little bit with each chunk. So a chunk is just a maybe 500 words or 500 characters or 2 paragraphs or whatever you want to have in a chunk, a subset of the text. So you chunk it up, and then you embed it, and then you store those embeddings in the database along with the source text. And you don't want to have one big thing, because you want to there's too many concepts in a really big thing. You want to kind of split it up into smaller pieces. And those like small concepts can link to bigger ones or bigger chunks, bigger chunks. There's lots of different ways to play around with that stuff. So that's another thing. But then there's also how much data you do provide the model. And that's up to you, how you do a search in the database, in the RAG database, do a similarity search, and you come up with a bunch of results. And it might be 20 results or 50 results. You're not going to provide all 50 of those. Well, maybe you are, but probably not. You're probably going to give like the top 5 or top 10 results, and just concatenate all that into one long string and have that at the end of the prompt. So it's all part of the prompt that goes to the model. You don't want it to be too big, because then you might hit the large context sizes, the max context size that a model supports. And so you want to keep it somewhat small, but not too small. And you hand that off to the model, and the model works on it. And that way you get access to all the information, and then you filter it down to just the relevant information, and that gets thrown into your prompt, and the model answers it. Hopefully that made sense. Borch answered, depends on the RAG. If you use nomic embedding, that's different from a SQL database. There are many RAGs. So I set up Docker RAG with Postgres vector. Does this mean my RAG can be plugged into different AI? So RAG is not, it's not connected to any sort of AI model. The RAG solution is all about getting the most relevant bits of content or text that helps answer your query, your question. And so you're pulling, you've got a massive amount of data, you're whittling it down, filtering it down to a small amount of data, adding that to your prompt, and then the AI model takes it from there. So those are two separate systems. They work really well together, but they're separate. That said, there could be, no, they're separate. But once you've got your RAG, your vector database and your embeddings going into it, once you've got that all done, well, yeah, you could totally use Olama for some things, or OpenAI for some things, or Claude or whatever, because you're just injecting the relevant data into the prompt. Borch says, as long as you build an API endpoint for your tool, probably want to build custom regex parsers to digest certain documents. For custom parsing of strings, condensing it for your model helps it. Dev likes, hello, thank you for your videos. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, you definitely want to. There's a lot of work in parsing or getting text from your documents. And so if you have a PDFs are the worst. They can be good, but they can also be hell to parse. And there are lots of tools out there to parse PDF, PyPDF, PyMute PDF. But even in the docs, those tools say it's up to the PDF author to make our job possible. And if it's, if the PDF was created in a way that's hard to parse, there's nothing that those tools can do. That said, there's another tool, PyMu PDF LLM something, like a longer name, that actually does the PDF to text stuff right. It actually figures out columns and all that type of stuff. And it seems to do a better job, but not a lot of people. I don't know. It's newer. I don't know if it's actually got a lot of it's had a lot of love yet. But you need to get that into text. And with, I often will play around with things from Archive, ARXIV. And it's a lot easier to get the text out of it if you switch to their HTML view instead of PDF view. So you get the HTML view, and then you do an HTML to PDF, or sorry, HTML to Markdown, and import that as your, and then you'd probably also need to do a little cleanup after that. And then you have your text, and that gets added to as embeddings to RAG. So far, I've been extracting EXIF information from files and producing a text file per image. The text file has a lot of helpful info, but it just spat out in the text file with no structure. Yep. LaTeX is best. I'm making an archive parser for LaTeX math. I know some people like to say LaTeX. LaTeX math formulas. LaTeX is used to build math research PDF papers. It seems I don't need to structure the text too much, and the models do well recalling. This actually feels like I'm accidentally working magic. Yeah, this stuff is magic. It's magic. I wish you can make a video about graph RAG. Also, I have a question about RAG. When you're searching by query in a vectors, the query is small, but it has the same dimensions of the big text in. So you have a question that you want to ask a model, and you first give that to the RAG database to find the relevant stuff, the relevant content. All of the content in the database, you've chunked it up into smaller pieces, and then you've created embeddings. And those embeddings, if you use nomic embed text, then it's 768 dimensions. And so there'll be 768 floating point numbers in each vector. And that describes the text that you've just, whether it's 500 words or 50,000 words, it's 768 floating point numbers in an array, a vector. And then your query is embedded, and that is also 768 floating point numbers in an array, usually called a vector. And then they do usually a cosine similarity algorithm on it. And that takes your query and compares that vector with all the other vectors and calculates which ones are closest or most similar to your query. And then it gives them a ranking, a score. And the ones that are highest ranking or closest in similarity, those are going to be the top of your list of results. And I've kind of well, there's a video today that I released earlier today, that, I mean, the reason I know about 768 dimensions is because I just recorded that. Well, I recorded it last night and finished the edit this morning. So it's top of mind. So there's that video that goes into detail about that. That's not really specific to graph RAG. I mean, it's just RAG. And there's this other concept called graph RAG. So RAG, I think, as a concept has kind of existed for, I don't know, a few years. Graph RAG, I think I first saw in it's been about a year. It's like other Neo4j, I think, had this solution, and we showed on stage, or when I was still at Olama, showed a variation of it on stage, although Neo4j is super heavy, at DockerCon. But then they showed me some other things that were very similar to what Microsoft then released as GraphRag just in the last few months. I don't know. I've never been that wowed, and there were other things I needed to do, so I just haven't gotten around to that one. But I think the DB does the search will be accurate if we split the big text in DB. You definitely want to split. I think you definitely want to split up, because I mean, you've got this vector that describes whatever text you've given it. And if you describe a huge document and you describe, a tiny phrase, I feel like you're going to get a much better description of that more condensed piece of source material. And you want to hand off just the relevant stuff to the model, because if you hand it this big document, if the model can handle it because the context size is large enough, it's still going to get confused, and because you're handing off information that some of it's relevant, but a lot of it's not. And so if you give bad information to the model, you shouldn't be surprised if it gives you a garbage result. So yeah. I hear my wife has come, has driven home. The garage door just closed. And that means that Stella is there, and she's going to be running, screaming, unless she's asleep. Well, I better go find out. So thanks all for being here. Thanks for joining me on this look at the news / some questions about RAG and all sorts of other things. Hopefully the video today was useful for some of you, and got another video that I'd like to say it's coming out tomorrow, but I haven't even started on it. So it might come out tomorrow, it might come out Friday. It's like wanting to know about Austin, Texas, but you give it all of Texas. Yeah. Because Austin versus the rest of the state is very different. I would think that most people in Austin are kind of sane, and the rest of the state, they're kind of wacky. Yeah, I know because my sister and her partner live down in what's the name of the town? It's on the one of the barrier islands, right at the right on the coast. They're like, I think they're like 50 miles. They can, from their house, you go up on the balcony, from their house, you can see the launch pad for SpaceX. So they're down that way. SpaceX. All right, I gotta go. Thanks so much for being here. It's always a lot of fun, and I'll see you next time, tomorrow. Alrighty, bye. Button, and end button.